We broke down and we are stranded in Wyoming in January, and it's cold here.
Very cold.
So here's the story. We're making our way. We left January 1st. It's January 3rd now as I'm recording this, but we left, made it to Independence Rock, which is a pretty cool historical site. Stayed overnight there. It's between Casper and Rawlins, Wyoming, right in the center of Wyoming. We woke up on January 2nd, the second day of our trip, to 5 degrees. Fortunately, everything started. Our Mr. Heater was acting up, however, and did not want to run. We did eventually get it going. Finally get on the road, made it to Rawlins, which is only a little over an hour away, but we stopped to top off the fuel because it's pretty remote out here in Wyoming. And just in case you're wondering, we're getting about 8 miles a gallon in the van hauling the trailer because the wind was blowing yesterday, knocked us down from the normal 10. Went to back in, get going again, and we had a complete breakdown, a complete failure. Here's the surprising thing. It was not the van, it was not the trailer, both of which are the things I was worried about because they're both getting old and showing their age and going to need significant attention, if not upgrade, in the foreseeable future. It was the Prius, the low mileage, great condition Toyota Prius was dead in the water. I mean, it was dead. Melanie went to get back in after gassing up and there was nothing. The key fobs didn't work, the dashboard was out, everything was out. We did some troubleshooting, figured out we had some voltage issues. The battery measured fine. If I took it out of the car, it measured 4 or 5, 6 volts in the car. So I'm thinking there's maybe a ground issue or some kind of short or failure like that. Because it's the way the Prius works, we couldn't even pop it into neutral to roll it because we couldn't get it to power up. And therefore we could not shift into neutral or any other gear with a little joystick on the dashboard. Locked at the pump. So we had to call a tow truck. Got towed to one shop who thought they'll take care of it. Apparently they didn't realize it was a hybrid. We get there and they said, nope, we ain't touching a hybrid. They're too tricky. There's too much stuff going on. We don't see many of them here in Rawlins. And I can believe that. So credit to that guy for being honest and recognizing, when he was over his head with that type of a vehicle. We ended up getting dropped off in a parking lot where we could park for a day or two. I'm on the phone with my son coordinating a DIY tow because this car needed to go to what they were telling us. The only places we get a hybrid worked on were going to be Rock Springs over in southwest Wyoming, Laramie back in south central Wyoming, or Casper up in central Wyoming, which is closer to where we just came from. And even though Casper was 20 miles further, that put us closer to our home base, so that was going to be more convenient. So we're making arrangements to get a tow. My son was working it out. He was going to come down and with a flatbed and a winch, because you have to winch the thing onto the trailer because it's locked in gear and is not running. We're making those arrangements because the tow truck guy said it's going to be at least $1,400 to tow the Prius from Rawlins to Casper, 120 miles. So that's the first one thing I want to point out here is that to be aware of. If you're traveling, if you've got an unusual vehicle, you may not be able to get it fixed just anywhere. You may have a hard time finding a mechanic, and towing can be exorbitant if you have to have it towed 100 or 200 miles to somewhere that can service the vehicle. So think about that if you've got hybrids, if you've got EVs, if you've got weird vehicles like schoolies or weird RVs that might be hard to get worked on. It may be difficult to find a mechanic, and the towing may be outrageous. This old Ford van, for all of its other challenges, any mechanic in the world can work on this old Ford van. So that's an easy one to get fixed, and you won't have to get towed too far. But some other vehicles can be a challenge, so something to be aware of. So that's why we were working on getting it towed DIY style up to Casper. We were going to be laid over in Wyoming longer. While we're coordinating that, a pickup truck pulls up, circles around us. The guy puts down his window, so I put it down to talk to him. He hands a business card. Turns out the friend of the tow truck guy. The tow truck guy had seen him as he was leaving here after he dropped off the car. And he talked to this guy. The guy said, hey, I'm just coming back from vacation, but I got a couple guys working in my shop. He owns an auto repair shop a block from where we're sitting. So we got in touch with one of his guys. They came down, load tested the battery when I told them what was going on. And it turns out it's just the prime or the engine starting battery has gone bad. And it tested fine for me because I didn't have a load test device. He put that on, definitely bad, no problem. He was able to get the car started. Melanie drove it a block to the shop. They were just going to put a new battery in it. Here's the thing again. Turns out in all of Rollins, and the guy went around and checked like 4 or 5, 6 different places. There is no battery for a Prius in all of Rollins. So we're waiting for a battery from Colorado so we can get the Prius going, hopefully. So it's now the morning of the 3rd. We're getting ready to go over there and see how things are going. Hopefully the battery's there now. We spent the night in a strip mall parking lot just a block from the shop. We've been using our Blue Eddies the last couple days on this trip. Working great. I can recharge them in the van while we're traveling. But these things are fantastic for off-grid stuff. I do have, as long as the van's plugged in, we do have 12 volt, but we don't have AC power in here. But the Blue Eddies allow us to do that. And like this light that we're running, we mentioned it in our favorite gear thing on low, which is what we usually have this thing on. It literally pulls less than 1 watt of power AC. It doesn't even register on the Blue Eddy. And on high, I think it's only like 7 watts or something. And I'll show you, high is really, really bright. So we don't use it all that often. So that's been fantastic. While we were here, since there was a TSC in the parking lot, we went over and grabbed a new Mr. Heater Portable Buddy because ours was getting wonky. One of the safety sensors is failing in it, and basically if it's not too cold it would work fine. If it's really cold, which is to say when you really need it, it wouldn't light and stay lit. I don't think it's actually a thermocouple in it. I think it was actually the tip over or the oxygen one, but when it's really cold you could hear it clunk. It wouldn't stay lit. So we've got it for a backup still, but we went and bought a new one. This time we got the cool green one because it's Tractor Supply and that's what they had there. So that's our tale. We're going to be continuing on. Adding to the adventure, there's snow coming to western Wyoming today, Wednesday the 3rd. There's snow coming to pretty much all of Utah today, and there's snow coming to much of northern Nevada today. So we got a cargo van and a travel trailer, so we don't want to be in snow. That's a bad combination. So we're trying to reroute. Looks like we're going to be heading south into Colorado on a route we actually did last year and making our way over into Utah from there. Looks like we'll get some milder weather, and we may have to still hold up for a day or two to let the roads get cleared up, but we'll see how that all goes. But hopefully we'll be at a fun place in Colorado this evening if all goes well, and that will hopefully be a little bit milder than what we've been having. Yesterday morning we got up 5 degrees outside. That's probably what put the battery over the edge in the Prius, but thank God it started yesterday morning and it got us into town before it dies. So even though Rollins is a small city, it's 8,000, 9,000 people, it's at least town. There's at least mechanics here and a tow company here, because if we'd had to have this thing towed from Independence Rock, it would have been quite a bit more expensive. So we're grateful for that. Another note, although while we're at all this stuff, we have roadside assistance through Geico. I've been paying for this for years and years, never needed it. Always thinking, hey, if I get broke down somewhere, at least I can just use the app. They'll send help. I don't have to try and get online and research tow companies and call somebody and all this stuff, right? So we put in the thing, it finds our coordinates. We say, yeah, disabled vehicle, we need a tow truck. A few minutes later, the phone rings. It's Geico telling me they don't have any providers in this area. They can't help us. We got to find our own tow truck. Apparently, we can send in the receipt and get reimbursed, which we will be doing. But we were in town. We were not out in the middle of nowhere. We were not something else like that. In Independence Rock, no phone service for a good half hour any direction. So that would have been really inconvenient if we broke down out there. Fortunately, we were in town, and we did get it done. We found, and I want to say too that everybody we've interacted with here, a couple different repair shops, the tow truck guy, everybody's been super friendly and very helpful, going above and beyond the minimum to traveling tourists. So shout out to Wyoming for some really high quality people there who are doing their best to help. And even when we have a tricky car situation that they don't see too many of here in Rollins. All right, so that's for us. We're going to be getting back on the road, heading, hopefully, as long as all goes well, we're going to be picking up the car over here in a few minutes, heading for Colorado. We'll have some more scenery from that. And so we'll wrap this video up with some scenery from our travel yesterday from Independence Rock coming into Rollins, Wyoming. Thanks for joining us for this video, everyone. We'll catch you in the next one.